blah, 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 blah.
Welcome to the Our Forever Smiles podcast, a podcast created to support mothers of children who were born with clefts and those who love them. I'm your host, Laura Arroyo, and I'm also a mother of a daughter who was born with a surprise cleft palate. I know the challenges you face every day, whether you have just learned the difficult news of your baby's cleft lip or palate, you're in the midst of pre-op or post-op, or you're an OG cleft mom. This podcast is for you. In a weekly conversation, we will talk about everything from feeding and speech therapy to surgery and school. We'll share tips from guest experts and advocates and even share a little joy in the process. You can listen to Our Forever Smiles wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned. Hello, and welcome back to the Our Forever Smiles Cleft Mom Diaries and Support podcast. I am Laura Arroyo. Thank you to all of our subscribers, new and old. I appreciate all of the support that we've received from this wonderful community. You can listen to us via Apple, Spotify, and everywhere that podcasts are available. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not yet, and of course, stay tuned. You can also leave a review if you want to be kind and show us some extra love. Just as a note, we are not medical doctors and we don't intend for you to use this information that we share here as medical advice. We're parents and advocates who love our children, and we're just sharing our own personal experiences. So you probably can hear it in my voice. I am actually under the weather today, as you can tell. I'll probably have to edit out all of my sniffles and stuff, but I've decided to push through today because we do have a guest, and I truly value the time and energy that is required from people to join the podcast, to speak with me. I'll never take for granted the opportunity to hear stories from people and families who are cleft affected. And today our guest is Morgan. Morgan has 3 children, all under 4, which, yeah, we'll talk about that as well. And so that's what I mean by families who are cleft affected, because while it's the child who is experiencing their cleft firsthand, our families are also very heavily impacted by the amount of time and commitment that's required to care for a child who is cleft affected. So Morgan is here to share her story with us. Welcome, Morgan.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're so very welcome. So talk to me about your personal journey. So from the time that you became pregnant with your cleft affected child till now.
Yeah, so we got pregnant with Memphis, that's his name, in May of 2022. And then we went for a 20-week ultrasound in September, and they couldn't get pictures of his face or anything. So everything else looked fine. They just wanted to bring us back in 4 weeks to do a follow-up, to get all the facial features and everything. And so that was October 21st last year. That's when we found out. That's when we got the diagnosis. I mean, they found it pretty quickly. I could tell, on the ultrasound. And so we went through a lot with that. And obviously we had never dealt with that before with our other 2 kids. And so it was all new. We went to maternal fetal medicine. And so that was like a whole new ball game. They confirmed everything there. They couldn't tell if he was palate affected, but they assumed by, how his lip looked and everything that he would likely be palate affected. So we went and we got prepared and we met with our cleft team before birth. And then he was born February 2nd, 2023, very healthy. We got very lucky. He didn't have any issues. He fed great, like a dream.
That's the best thing.
I know. That was, I think, where most of my anxiety came from, was just reading other stories and worrying about feeding tubes and, all these things that we didn't deal with our other kids. And I had the moment of, grieving breastfeeding, because I did get to breastfeed my other 2. And so I took a lot of time, I think, to process that. But I mean, it really It
Yeah.
didn't our bond is still super strong, and that's something I was worried about, but he's done really well with feeding from the beginning. So,
Yeah. That's awesome. So, whenever I guess that when you first found out that you were pregnant, did you have any did you have any complications during your pregnancy or anything like that outside of this? Any inkling beforehand, before your scan or anything like that?
I think I did have a little idea that something was going on. We had around 7 weeks, I started having some bleeding, and I'd not had that with my other 2 kids, and then it ended up resolving around 12 weeks, and then going into the 24 week, the follow-up anatomy scan, I just kinda knew, and I told my mom that. I said, "I kinda just I don't know what it was, just a little
You just
intuition." Laying on the table
sensed
there.
something was wrong.
Yeah, and then when the ultrasound tech got quiet, I was, like, analyzing the screen. Like, I'm not, even well-versed. I've had 3 kids, but I'm not well-versed in ultrasounds, but I'm looking at the screen, and I'm watching her face, and just I kept looking back, and my husband's just over there. He's oblivious, the he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't see what I see, so because he probably just thinks it's like a blob.
Yeah.
But I'm looking, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that for sure. I can see that clear."
Did you know so when you saw it on the screen, you knew exactly what it was? Oh,
Yeah, and
wow.
that's the thing, like, I mean, we didn't I didn't it's not anything we've ever experienced with anybody, but I could see it, and I know that's something they look for on ultrasounds, and I was "That's definitely a cleft lip, like, for sure.
Mm,
I don't see how it could be anything else," and then she
yeah.
could get the doctor, and I looked at my husband, and then I started crying, but I was like, "It's yes, he has a cleft lip." I said, "I can see it." And
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that. So, what was that initial, I guess, feeling or reaction that you had to
he
that?
I was crushed, and I hate saying that because that sounds terrible, I mean, you never want anything to be wrong with your baby. I mean, the dream is, a healthy baby all around, all across the board, and, things
Yeah.
would be simple, but, I mean, it was heartbreak. I laid there on the table, and I cried, and I could not stop crying. I mean, I just remember we have, like, a whole practice of doctors, like, I think there's, like, 10 different doctors, and I can't even tell you which doctor it was that came in the room to confirm because I was just, like, a mess. I mean,
Yeah.
and I feel terrible thinking back on it because I wouldn't change a thing now, but
Yeah.
it was a very hard day, and I'll never forget every detail of that day.
Yeah. I I can feel that. Like, I can, like, understand that feeling of, like,
Like,
now when you look back on it, that you're like, "Oh, I hate that I felt that way." I was even on another episode that I recorded with someone, I said, "I do have the feeling like now, I wish I was the mom that I am now, like, back then, because I just know so much more, and I'm so much more, like, equipped, and I feel like I mean, it's a big deal, but you know, but you can handle it,
yeah,
and your child it doesn't take anything away from your child and who they are and who they will become, and it's just yeah, it's an interesting feeling, right? It's like this balance between validating their experience, but also, like, grieving,
mhm.
in the at the same time. And so what I guess what was the differences between so just for a little bit of context as well, I didn't know about my daughter until she was born. So I didn't have any idea until she was like having her newborn screening because she's cleft palate affected only. And so it like totally blindsided me. I wasn't prepared at all. I didn't have anything. And then, it's so rare that even the hospital just kind of didn't really know what to do. I needed to get like my CLEP team involved and stuff like that. So it was just a lot. But I guess like since you did, learn this information at you said was it 20 or 24 weeks that you
What
learned 24. Since you learned it pretty early on, did what was the differences between your care from then on than, like, your previous pregnancies?
So, from that point on, my OBGYN, they just treated me like a normal patient, until I didn't have any other complications after all my earlier issues resolved. And so it was just routine for that part. But I mean, maternal fetal medicine they kind of released us too. They saw us one time. They took blood work and they did like a genetic panel, I think. And that was it with that. And then we met with the speech pathologist on our Cleft team. And she, got me well versed in feeding, and she gave me some Dr. Brown's bottles and, kind of told me what feeding would look like. And I am so thankful for that, because the hospital I delivered at, it's not a big hospital. And I love my hospital. They're great. They're all amazing there, but they were not, I mean, I just don't think they knew a whole lot about caring for a baby with a cleft lip, cleft palate, all that. So we kind of had to teach them when he was born, because he had to go to the nursery, for a couple things. And they were like, how do we feed him? Like, that's something I think that needs some work, because my Cleft team is actually at a different hospital. And like I said, I love my hospital, but it was, we're getting thrown into it with them at the same time, it felt like. But yeah, so we met with this pathologist, and then we met with our Cleft team and got prepared. I mean, but other than that, my pregnancy it felt like my other kids, other than, educating and preparing and all of that, since there's so many unknowns, with Cleft and what it's gonna look like after birth. But other than that, it was just normal. They didn't want to induce, or I wasn't high risk or anything. And so I got to just be normal. And it was my last pregnancy too. So it felt good that it could still just be,
Yeah. Yeah, that you didn't have any other concerns. So you did have genetic testing. Did you do like the amnio, what is it called?
The amniocentesis.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, I would be so afraid to do something like that.
Yeah, I want to do that. No, they just, I think, because I didn't do the blood work at like 10 or 12 weeks, so you can find out like the gender and all the other stuff. So I think they did that, just that simple one. It wasn't an extensive, longer anything. It was just, to make sure it wasn't connected to anything else, I guess. And he hasn't had anything since he's been born either. So
yeah, I had the NIPT test, and then I also had a comprehensive panel. So that's why it was even more like none of this showed up. And so we had both of those. Nothing, showed up on either of those. And so, and then after my daughter was born, they did send her for genetics again. And I think the reason being is they had like a little bit of reason to believe that she had PRS. Mm-hmm. And it turned out she didn't, but it's just the way that her face was shaped. They were concerned about that. And so did he have further testing after, or that was it? You haven't had him tested for anything else?
Not yet, no. His Cleft team didn't recommend any either. So, I mean, I don't know if that's something we might do later down the road, but we haven't had any done yet.
Yeah. Okay. And so now fast forwarding to the day that he was born. So did you prepare your other children, more so your 4-year-old, for like, I guess, what he would look like, or just educating your 4-year-old on, what to expect?
So I think we kind of got lucky with having our kids close in age, because I don't think he didn't understand the full extent of it. So we didn't really go into preparing him. But when Memphis was born, we did, FaceTime with him. My mother-in-law was here with him, and he looked at him, and he like kind of did like pointed to his lip, and I think he thought it was his nose, because he was bilateral cleft. So just kind of sticking out a little more, and he's just like pointing to it. But other than that, I mean, they didn't treat him any different. I don't think they knew. So I think we got really lucky with having him close in age. So Maverick he was 3.5 when Memphis was born, and he is speech delayed too, so that could play into it. But
yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Because I've always been curious about, I don't know, I guess, how do you prepare your other children that may have questions about something like that, when you don't really necessarily have an explanation yourself, because there's so much to be learned and about which is kind of crazy, right? That they still haven't really gotten to the bottom of it. I've researched so much, like just in doing this podcast. Of course, like my research started with my own personal experience, but just in this podcast, I want to always like provide the most accurate information. And even still, when I look at things and causes, and they're just all over the place. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's no folic acid, and then people are just a bunch of stuff. Nothing that's like set in stone.
When we got the diagnosis, I think laying there on the table, like the whole past 24 weeks, my pregnancy, I'm like, what did I do? I was like, did I eat something? It was crazy. That's something I always talk about with some of my fellow Cleft moms. I'm like, did you have that? Because you just overanalyze, I think, every second of your pregnancy.
Yeah.
And though, I mean, they know that there's instances where you literally did nothing. And that's what they kept telling me. They're like, you didn't do anything. And I'm like, I just still,
Yeah. You just can't wrap your.
oh, never stop.
Yeah.
Even
And then
still
like,
today.
yeah. And, in your situation too, I would find it, I would sense a little bit more. I understand the feeling of guilt that may come with your last child, being cleft affected, because you've had two children that, were born perfectly healthy from what I assume, right? And so it's kind of, what did I do this time around, or what could I have done differently?
Yeah.
And it's just so, I know, like, even in another episode, I talked to a mom about, we all go through this whole thing, like the line of the, things that we took, and she was talking about that early on in her pregnancy, that she was taking pre-workout. She was working out a lot. And that was one of the things that she's like, oh, what if it was like the pre-workout? And I'm like, I was thinking the same thing, because I also was having pre-workout.
It's crazy.
And so it's like, just from what I've learned is literally like, clefts are formed, it's 6 weeks, 12 weeks. Like,
Yep.
some women don't even know that they're pregnant,
Yep.
and so what it's
That's
just,
maternal fetal medicine told us too. They were like, you know, and by that point, I mean, there's nothing you possibly could have done, so just
yeah.
don't do that to yourself, but you just can't help it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So the day that Memphis was born, when you first saw him, what was that initial feeling and that reaction?
I mean, it's just like meeting my other children as it's emotional. I mean, we had a whole team, and that was the difference in his birth and in their births. A whole team. We had the NIC I don't even know, I can't even tell you. I know we for sure had the NICU team in there. It just seemed like there were so many people in the room. But it just like he came out and screamed immediately. Like, and that was the NICU team was okay, we're good.
He's here.
Like
Yeah.
he's and he is good. And I just laid him on my chest, and it was, I looked at him and I'm like, looked how it looked, how I think it looked on the ultrasound. Like I said, I ultrasounds always make it look worse, I think, than it actually is. So, when he was born, I just, I'm analyzing his face and I'm like, he's perfect. Like he is just, he's perfect.
Yeah.
And he was, and he still is. But yeah, that's,
Yeah.
hey, I could talk about, I could talk about his birth all day, but yeah, it was everything I thought it would be and even better because, we got very lucky with everything and how things went down. And we
Yeah.
were
Did he have to spend any time in the NICU? You said that he fed really well. No time in the NICU at all?
a NICU time. That was another prayer I think that we had was, he would come out and not need any interventions, and he didn't. He didn't need oxygen or a feeding tube or anything. I mean, they checked him out and he was good to go. They're like, "He's yours, mama. Like you can take care of him just like your other ones."
Yeah. And one of the things that I was like really shaken up about when my daughter was born and we had to do her feeding is that everything would, come out of her nose because, of her palate. And so I guess, how did you handle that? And I guess, how soon did it take for him to adjust to, and did you know, like, were you expecting that to happen? Like, did you do that research beforehand to, I guess, know that information and prepare for that?
So I did know that it could happen, and like I said, we didn't know the severity of his palate until he was born, and his palate was pretty open. I mean, it was pretty wide, and they just told us to, feed him sitting up, and so he didn't have a whole lot. He spit up. When he spit up, I think, when it came out of his nose for the first time, I did panic because, it is scary, but he seemed to, handle it okay. I could tell it was uncomfortable, but he seemed to handle it okay. He didn't have, reflux or anything. But we ended up adjusting, and we, had to figure out what worked for him feeding-wise, and we figured it out.
Yeah. How was your I skipped over this and I forgot, but I would love to know, how your family members reacted. I know your husband was in the room with you when you got the news, which was great because you had someone there. Although sometimes I feel like they handle things differently in the way that we do. And so I'd love to hear more about his reaction and just your extended family, and if you shared right then, like that day, or did you share later on down the line?
So with my husband, when he found out, and, we found out together, obviously, and when the OB or when the ultrasound tech was going to get the doctor and I was crying, he just walked over and just, was hugging me and letting me, I think have my moment. I could tell he was, I'm not gonna say scared, but taken aback, I guess. I mean, we
Yeah.
weren't expecting it, and it was very shocking. And we talked a lot in the car on the way home. We were going back to get our other kids, and I was still crying on and off, and we're already Googling stuff and just looking up stuff and just talked, and, we're gonna handle it as it comes. And then, so we told his mom, my mother-in-law, immediately because she had our kids, and obviously she was gonna be able to
Oh,
tell
yeah.
we were something was off. And so that's pretty much who knew first. And then I just couldn't talk about it without crying. I think the whole, really first, couple of weeks, but, especially that first day, I knew I couldn't talk to anybody without just breaking down. And so even my family, I just texted them a screenshot of my chart where they had put in there that they suspected cleft lip, cleft palate. I literally screenshot it and would just send a message out. It was like, "I am not, please do not call me." I was like, "I am not ready to talk about it. I cannot talk about it." And then my mom texts me back, and this is on a Friday. My mom texts me back and she's like, "Do you want me to come up today? I can come see you today if you need to, or I can come tomorrow. I can come, if I need to come be with you, I can come be with you." And then we had a baby shower for our cousin the next day. And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Mom, you can come be with me at the baby shower." Cause I think
Mhm.
that's going to be hard too. Having to be
Yes.
at a baby shower and, go through all that. And my baby, is not going to be like this baby that's being born. And it was just a lot of emotions right there. And so I had to put on a, happy face for the baby shower. And that was with a bunch of family too. And I had to tell a lot of them afterward. I was like, if I seemed off today, this is what we have going on. Again, I cannot talk about it in person. I can talk about it over text and cry in private, but I can't talk, um, in person or to your face or over the phone because I will just cry.
Yeah.
Our
Um,
family, we were we're very, very blessed, and our family has been amazing. And from the beginning, from diagnosis day and until now through surgeries, and they're all learning with us because it's new to all of us. Um, it was, like I said, it was shocking news, but we really brought us together for sure. I think it brought us
oh,
closer,
yeah.
and as
Yeah.
advocates, all of us advocates.
Yeah, for sure. I had the same feeling almost, I I don't know, so because I found out the day that my daughter was born, my mom was there, so people just knew because they were there, but, I just didn't wanna talk about it, and I wasn't even relaying information that the doctors gave me to, people around me. My brothers were there and my mom was there, and so I had to tell my mom, "I'm please," and I burst into tears. I told her, I was, "Please don't think that I'm intentionally trying to hold information from you. I just literally can't talk about it. It's just so painful to me that I can't get through it, like, to talk to you about it. And I'm not trying to give you the cold shoulder or leave you out or anything that it's just too overwhelming for me. And so, just like you said, she, she told me, she was, it's okay, it's okay. And just having her next to me was really comforting. I was just like, just don't say anything. Like, like, just stay close and just don't, I just can't, like,
Don't talk about it. Yeah. No. I
and
know.
so I know
Feels
that feeling well, yeah. What's something that you wish people knew about Memphis or children that were born with a cleft lip or palate?
So I think our biggest thing is when you would tell people that either your baby has a cleft lip or was going to be born with a cleft lip, oh, well, that's an easy fix with surgery. And I think that that's just a pet peeve of mine because from the outside, it probably looks like it's just an easy fix with surgery. Like, but surgery is never easy. But like our journey has been, I know easy compared to some, but it's far from easy. I mean, it has
Yeah,
been hardest, and I tell people this, it from diagnosis last year, it has been the hardest year of our lives. It's been challenging and it's tested us and pushed us beyond our limits. But surgery, I mean, surgery's not easy. It's not easy at any age, but it's definitely not easy on a baby.
yeah,
It's very hard handing your baby over to, I mean, they're not strangers, but they're basically strangers. You just met them a couple months
yeah,
ago. You're trusting your baby with them, and it's tough. So that's something that I work on advocating for because it's not easy.
yeah.
I don't
When
want people
did he
to think that it is.
um yeah, no, it's really, it goes back to that whole thing of trying to validate their experience while
Mhm.
also not. Oh god, it's just so for me, validating her experience, but also I didn't want people to be, you know what I mean? Oh, poor thing.
And
That was the balance that I had to have, with my family and stuff. When did he have his lip repair? Did you do it as soon as you were able to?
we had some issues with them getting it submitted with insurance. So it was a little later than it was supposed to be, but he had it when he was 4 months old. So that was in June.
Isn't that like mind-boggling? The whole
Yes.
insurance thing is that also ties into that whole thing that it's just an easy fix or that it's cosmetic or like, but even now, even sorry, I can I just get so worked up about this because
Yeah.
I one of the other reasons why I started this podcast is because I feel there's so much emphasis put on, countries and, people needing surgeries and this type of thing, this emphasis on it, which don't get me wrong, totally needed. Every single child deserves to have their repair and to like have a great quality of life. I don't know. It's one of those things that how don't the insurance companies know? You know what I mean? That if there's so much emphasis put on, these countries that they need money to in order to like have these repairs done, then how do they not know that this is not cosmetic? You know what I mean? Like it's just I don't know. It's one
It's
of
like
those
it's
things that
happening here. Like this, you gotta take care of your people here too. But there's families going into debt to get their kids lip and palate repairs, and like it should not be like that.
yeah,
It's quality
it's
of life. This is something they need to live a healthy life and to grow,
yeah.
to eat and to talk and all. It's crazy to me.
It's just it's so yeah, I'll never understand that, but I just I'm grateful that we'll have, um Corinne, she's coming on the podcast, and she's gonna talk about a bill that they are looking to pass so that, families don't have to go through all of this, and even I don't care how old the person is, like, even if Memphis gets older and he wants to have a revision done, I feel like it should be covered. I just don't care. I don't care whether you're 5 months old or whether you're like 15 or 50. If you were born with, this defect or you're, cleft affected, then you should be able to have that and it should be covered by insurance. It's just one of those things. But of course, I'm gonna say that, right? Because
We're a little
it's
biased.
we're a little biased, but it just makes sense. I mean, I could just say that, but she's gonna come on and talk about that particular bill so that we can all go out and support and just advocate for that to happen, because I think it's critical. As you said, there are families that are like going into debt for this type of thing, and it's just not fair. And so, when did he have palate repair?
He was 8 months old when he had palate repair, and he had a second lip revision too at the time. That was in October.
Oh, wow. They did his palate repair at 8 months? I've never heard it being done that early.
So his surgeon says that it goes by like their head circumference. Their head has to be a certain size, and he's got a big noggin. So he was ready. I mean, he didn't even have to measure his head. We went to that last appointment before his surgery, and he said he's good to go. He was like, I can tell. Like, I don't even have to measure. Like, he's good. His head is plenty big enough. So,
Oh,
and we felt comfortable with it at that point. So we were ready to do it. He would have let us push it if we wanted to, but I mean, it was kind of just a tough time with the holidays coming up. So it was either do it then or probably just wait until after the holidays because, sickness. And I'm glad we did because I know sickness is picking up a lot everywhere.
mhm.
I'm
I
glad we
was
got.
so eager. I was so eager to get my daughter's done. The minute I could get like her on the schedule, I had her surgery scheduled literally. She was probably like 8 weeks. I had scheduled everything because I was just I was so afraid of the outcome, or I was so much was unknown then. So I'm like, we need to, get this show on the road here. And so I really was. But there are some moms that are hesitant. They delay it, which I don't want to. I don't know. It's really tough
I just
seeing
figured,
your.
yeah, recovery would be easier the younger they are. That's what I was worried about. I was like, he's not mobile. Like he was not crawling, like pulling up. I don't feel there was a less chance of him, damaging anything. So I was like, as soon as he can get it done, that it makes sense and it'll heal properly still. I want to get it done because I can't imagine it's fun having a toddler running around and they can't put their hands in their mouth and eat their snacks that they want to eat and all that fun stuff. So I felt comfortable with it and his team did. So I was like, let's go ahead and we'll do it now. It's good.
Yeah, yeah. And I wanted my daughter to just get like used to it like as early as she could, because they're just a little bit more. They pick things up quicker. I feel like the younger that they are. She is ready. Like, is he drinking out of a straw yet?
Not yet. No, we're
Not
working on.
yet. Yeah, it was just fascinating. She picked it up so quickly. She really bounced back and she was able to like adapt, and that's what I really wanted for her. I really wanted her to have the opportunity to do that. What do you think has been like the hardest part of your journey? Do you think it's like finding out? Was it the feeding part of it? Was it the surgeries and the recoveries? What would you say was the hardest part?
I think each stage has its own hardness, but like diagnosis was hard. I mean, it's just still one of those days like I could look back on now and, you know, I could go back and just hug myself, but
Oh, I
that
love
was like,
that.
that day will stick with me. But I mean, that hard is different compared to preparing your child for surgery hard and, preparing yourself for your child to go into surgery hard. Lip repair really wasn't terrible for us. And, he bounced back really fast. I feel like from lip repair, he took his bottles like in the PACU as soon as he came out of surgery, like he was, ready to go. But palate was hard. I mean, it was rocky for a while and, so I think that has been our hardest part so far. But in sleep, I know he has
Mm,
been the worst sleeper since surgery, which was something I was not prepared for at all.
mm.
We had him sleeping all night before lip repair, and I expected it to be a little rocky afterwards. And then it got a little better, and then we had palate repair, and it has been
Yes.
all messed up since palate repair. And they said it
So
could happen
he's
anesthesia, and I'm like, when does it end?
so he's still not back on track?
Oh my gosh, no, we're getting there. I think
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just he wakes up for comfort. It's not necessarily that he's hungry. I mean, obviously, if he wakes up, I'm going to try to feed him because you never know. He can tell me what's wrong. So, you jump to feeding, and then I'm like, but he's not drinking. Like, I think he just wants comfort and to know that because we do sleep in a dark room. So that could be why.
You sleep in the same room as him?
We do right now, yes. We need him. He's going to be moving in with one of his siblings if he can start sleeping all night. But he is not there yet. I don't want him messing up their sleep and, move him too soon and then him wake them up. So
yeah, that's got to be really hard. And how was it, I guess, now that you mentioned that, like do you have all boys?
I have, my oldest is a boy and our second's a girl.
Okay. So having your oldest boy and your girl, like, because I know it's so hard during like surgery or even in the beginning, at that newborn phase. How are you balancing just his whole treatment? You're pretty much towards the end of I feel just like you said, right? There is different hard, but after lip repair and palate repair, you don't have to see another surgeon, right? Until 8 is usually around the age they do like the gum repairs and stuff.
Yeah.
And so you can take a little breather.
It has been a lot this year.
Yeah. How did you balance all of that with your other 2 kids?
I mean, just a lot of support from our family. I mean, we truly, truly could not have done it without our family and without my husband, obviously, because he was right there in the thick of it with me. And I think a lot of people forget the dads sometimes and focus on the moms, but he's been through it with us and he's, learned and he advocates for his baby too. And he knows how to take care of him just the same as me. So when he'd get home from work, he could help, he could feed him, like all that stuff. So it didn't just all fall on me. And with our family, with helping with surgery, they keep our other kids, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, and my husband's grandparents. I mean, they've all been just saints to keep my toddlers while we're in the hospital. I know it's not easy. I'm with them every day, but it's a lot. But we wouldn't have made it through without them, without my mom. My mom came to the hospital to help, give us breaks for palate repair. And she would just, the first day he was wanting to be held a lot after surgery, she came and she gave us a break so she could hold him. And family, I mean, literally a support system. Like I don't think we could have survived without a support system this year. It's been the most important, and having people that love your baby like you love them.
Yeah, that's so true. It is. It's hard when you don't have someone else to give you those breaks. I remember after my daughter's palate repair, I also wasn't, I was expecting it for to have some sleep regression, right? But that whole holding her up at night until for the first 2 weeks are so hard. Oh my goodness. It was so hard because you're just so sleep deprived and also just really worried about your child as well. It's really, really tough to deal with and stuff. So you really, really need people that just love you and care about you and love your children and care about your children to give you some relief and to just help you out. And it really does, I feel take a village for that type of thing. Okay, so we're actually going to move into the Cleft Mom question of the week. And so I started to ask you this question during our conversation, and then I realized that it's our Cleft Mom question of the week. So it says, how do I prepare for surgery? What supplies do I need for myself, my husband, and my baby?
So, I mean, I know this is you'll get a different answer from every person you ask. I think you can never overpack. I mean, I know people say don't bring the whole house, but when you have a baby, it's like packing to go on vacation. Obviously, it's not a fun vacation. It's, but you want to make you have everything when you get there. So I just started making a list before lip repair. I think a month before lip repair, I started when something would come into my head, I'd write it down. I only need that for surgery. I'd go to my list and I'd write it down. And then the week leading up to surgery, I made sure I had everything on my list. And I mean, you need more than you think, especially if, you have a baby on formula, which if they're young enough, they're going to be on formula or breast milk or whatever. Make sure you have a way to heat your milk up. I almost forgot our bottle warmer. Like, and my baby is, I call him a bougie baby. He wants his hot milk. Like, he doesn't want room temperature,
Same.
none of that. Like, it needs to be warm. And, bottle brushes, like simple stuff you wouldn't think about. You got to clean your bottles, bring enough clothes for you because they're very bloody, which was very unexpected. I mean, he was, after lip repair, he was very, very, very bloody. So dark clothes, anything black. Like, don't bring anything that you'll be sad if it gets messed up, because it probably will get messed up. And then any comfort items. I mean, comfort items were big for him, especially for palate repair when he was a little more aware than he was for lip repair, I think. He has like a little mobile aquarium thing that goes in the crib and plays. Screen time, do not knock screen time. If you're anti-screen time, that's fine, but sometimes that's the only thing that gave us a break after palate repair.
Oh, you have to. Like, there's just no way. You have to. Like, you got to do what works. Like,
absolutely. Like, you've got to keep yourself sane. And it was the Trolls movie. Like, he loves, I mean, even that he has his siblings watching it. So I think he just kind of ended up liking it. But Trolls, I think we could recite the whole Trolls movie. My husband and I both, because it just played on a loop for like at least the first week. I mean, after surgery, when he was drinking his bottle, it would distract him. And I'm like, we got to get him drinking milk. So whatever we got to do, we got to do.
yeah.
You gotta figure it
Yeah,
out.
for sure.
Overpack. That's my biggest advice. Overpack. Do not.
Now, did the hospital provide you with like, I was actually really surprised at like how much the hospital actually provided. So they provided all the syringes. They even had like, what was it, pudding and stuff that we could give her. That I brought stuff as well, but I was surprised that they had already like had all these things that we could use. Did you have the same experience, or did you have to bring that stuff with you?
So they provided formula, diapers. They asked us what size diapers he needed, and wipes, formula. The first time we had his first surgery, they did like a bottle brush and like dishwashing liquid too, but we didn't get that the second time. But we brought our own anyways, so that was fine. I think that's pretty much it though. I mean, yeah, I don't think they gave us anything else.
Yeah. How many nights did you have to stay for lip repair and for palate repair?
So lip repair, we just had one night. So basically just 24 hours. So our surgeon does their surgeries for the babies on Fridays. And so his lip repair was on a Friday. We left. It was like I think he went back at 10:30 a.m. for surgery. And then we were gone by 10:30 a.m. Saturday morning. They checked, they kept the pulse ox on him and checked his oxygen and everything. And he was good to go. He was taking his bottles. And then palate repair, they told us, so again, that was on a Friday. He told us nobody goes home on Saturday. It's just not like they have to stay and be monitored. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Sunday was a possibility. Monday was more likely, and then it could be Tuesday. So thankfully, we were one of the ones that got to leave on Sunday. They keep him on IV fluids for the first 48 hours. Just, because he was like, he's probably not going to take a bottle. So we want to keep him hydrated and all that. So we stayed Friday night, Saturday night, and then got to go home Sunday around lunchtime.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Was that the whole Saturday thing? Was that the him thing? Like, was that the doctor's thing, or?
Yeah, because they have
Oh,
to keep them on fluids. So
oh, okay.
anybody go home the day after, which is fine. I mean, I don't think I really felt comfortable to go home Saturday. I mean, we could have managed. Honestly, we probably could have managed better at home. We had a nurse who missed one of his medication times. And
Oh,
so
goodness.
that's for like a rough couple of hours for us with him, because he was miserable. I mean, he was obviously in a lot of pain. Could have managed that better at home, but I am glad that they kept him on fluids, because he definitely didn't go back to taking his full like volume of milk until about like a week post-op. So
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. And you said that he also had a lip revision during that surgery too, right? And did he get tubes as well?
He didn't. No.
He didn't. Okay. Are they gonna do tubes for him at all?
They haven't mentioned it. He hasn't had any ear infections or anything, so I'm not too certain. We haven't talked to him about that.
Yeah. No, I can imagine that would be like really tough. I know we stayed the 24 hours, but he's had 2 surgeries really, right? So I can see that why, they would wanna keep you longer. And I kind of felt that too, like, I wish that we were able to stay an additional day. I don't know, I guess I was feeling a little bit so I was super uncomfortable,
Mhm.
because sleeping in a hospital is just uncomfortable, and then they didn't like, they only had, like, a bed for her, right? So everything else, the 2 were just these recliners. So it was very uncomfortable, but I just wanted to be, like, a little bit better, but I actually, now that I think about it, I just said that, but I literally feel she probably slept better when she did get home.
Yeah,
It was just
for
crazy for
sure.
me. Yeah, but
Yeah.
she was more comfortable at home now that I think about it. So, what do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned along your journey?
Everybody's journey is different. I mean, it's easy to jump into all the support groups and research and, search whatever your situation is. You can look all in these groups, but their situation will not be the same as yours. Obviously, it's good to go to those groups to get support. I had the Cleft Mom support group on Facebook. They're great. I mean, I love, I've learned a lot from that group, but I don't think I've seen anybody else in that group whose journey has been the same as ours. You just need to, I mean, it's good to prepare, but you just won't know until your baby's here and how your journey is going to go. I mean, like in your case, you didn't know until birth. Uh,
Mhm.
you didn't even have time to prepare for this, and you just never know. I mean, ours has been, like I said, I said it over and over again. Like we got super lucky with, I think, everything. And I know when I say that, people are like, "You're lucky? Like, why are you? This is not ideal." Like, I know it's not ideal, but we did get lucky. We got a healthy baby. I mean, that was like the end goal, right? I got to bring my baby home. That was my biggest thing. At the end of the day, I'm like, my baby's
Mhm.
healthy. I get my baby home. Everything else is manageable, but
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
everything
That's
else
a
out.
big thing.
Yeah, we can figure out the rest as we go. But like I said, it won't be the same as, the next person, the person before you, whoever's come before you. Like it's not the same. But
Yeah.
we're all lucky we
Yeah.
get together and learn from each other. I mean, I've learned from other moms on like Instagram that I've connected with. Like their teams do things different than our teams. I mean, we're in South Carolina, and they're across the country, and no two teams do things the same. So that's also why your journey will be different. We didn't do NAM. We didn't do taping. I mean, we were supposed to do taping, but we didn't do taping because my baby hated it. Uh, but there's just different things. I mean, the journey's all different, and I think that's what makes it a journey. I mean, you just, you know,
Yeah.
makes it all unique, and they all have their own stories to tell. We have our own stories to tell.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm grateful that I get to, like, hear everyone's story through this podcast. It's been really I feel just like you said, like, being in these groups and stuff really help, like, normalize my experience maybe or make me feel like I'm not alone, but I also know and I've seen that my journey isn't the same as, your journey, and just what I've heard, I've been able to, like, pick up these different things, like, to take with me, advice and just, like, I don't know, these reassurances, I guess, throughout the journey, and then also just having, this platform to have people have an outlet, but also to inform new moms, right? Because
Yes.
there's gonna be someone tomorrow that's literally has is having the same reaction that you had the first time that you found out, literally tomorrow, you know what I mean? It's heartbreaking to think about, right? But it's also now that you're here, and I mean, maybe I'll speak for myself. Now that I'm here, it's like, it's gonna be okay, and I'm telling you it's gonna be okay, and you'll be able to figure this out, and, hopefully through this platform that I'll be able to at least give some people some sense of, like, peace and reassurance in this whole thing. So just thank you for, sharing your story here with us.
Of course. I
Yeah.
love sharing about his story, and that's my goal too, is to be there for the Cleft moms to be and the Cleft moms to come down the road. It makes me happy when they reach out to me on social media and they're like, "Hey, I saw your TikTok video. I saw your story, whatever. I just got a diagnosis and this is what I'm going through." And
Yeah.
that's why I share. That's what I'm here for. And I'm excited to be able to, be on this journey and to help.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And also, thank you to you all. Thank you for listening to the Our Forever Smiles Cleft Mom Diaries and Support podcast. Be sure to subscribe and submit a review of the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. I hope that you've enjoyed this audio experience. Maybe you cried a little, laughed a little, but more importantly, I hope that you feel a little piece of reassurance and even joy in your journey. Talk to you next week. Bye.